Welcome back to the Overwatch Open. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be going live shortly with Seagull's NRG versus Psycho Waffle's Method. Is Seagull going to swoop down and take the waffle out of our hands?
I don't know, man. It's pretty. I'm just impressed to be casting a team which is led by a psychotic waffle. And I mean, that because he's the leader. He's the shot caller.
He is.
Supposedly, and you know, he's going to be playing support, so that's always a good spot to be a shot caller.
You wouldn't want like a docile waffle leading your team, would you? That's not very charismatic. That's not very out there adventurous. It just wouldn't do.
Are you a fan of waffles, sir?
I'm a massive fan of waffles. I think maple syrup on waffles is absolutely excellent, and then you can go one of two routes. You can either go the Nutella route, which is favored by many, but I personally favor streaky bacon.
Oh, okay.
Super tasty.
Interesting. I can't say that I'm much of a waffle man, but I appreciate your tastes.
There are going to be no waffle stalls, unfortunately, as we move into Lijang Tower. This is, of course, the night market. We might see waffles and bacon. I don't know, but we'll have to explore the map and take a look. NRG, of course, incredibly huge following and a lot at stake for them here. They want to be booking that ticket to Atlanta. Currently outside the top 3, maybe top 5 in North America, looking to rise up and reclaim a spot where they were just one of the top 3s. And we'll see if they can do it here by dispatching Method, who are in the top 10 and have a point to prove.
Absolutely. This gonna be good.
Real good.
Absolutely. This is something that's going to be a nice little warm-up. As I mentioned, it's always fun to see who's hitting their shots. It can definitely give you a bit of it's not a good tone essentially for the rest of the best of 3, and already we're going to see Enigma with the Tracer to be the first one to meet them, but Seagull is the first one to frag, taking down Zenyatta and losing the support so early into the initial battles is going to be a problem. And it looks like NRG are just taking them down one by one.
Wow, and that is 6 kills to start things off for NRG. Seagull leading the charge, and they get all 6 down on Method. That's really important for ultimate charge as well. These guys are going to be able to get that much closer to their support ult, and it means that NRG will have an advantage going into the second and third fight. So a very positive, very exciting start here for NRG.
Oh yeah, and right now their ultimates are building very nicely, and if they can continue to get these superior engagements like this, Winston able to drop the bubble there in a forward position, although there is some contestation, but they're going to be able to swing back for that one as they take down and continue to split up the offense, although that said they couldn't take off the point. Interesting that Method were able to get a swap there.
Yeah, sneaking in on the point, and that actually allows him to build up some percentage while the rest of the fight is going on as well. Seagull most of his way over here to the blade. He's looking to maybe unsheath the sword. Ultima Web there, trying to take him out, and manages actually to pick up his opposite member. That is a big pick up there for Method.
Enigma's going in now. The sound barrier is starting to wear off, but it's done its job, and NRG are sitting on almost 6 ultimates. 5 will definitely be a very good advantage for them as they choose to use them, and so they're basically setting themselves up to hopefully stagger those forwards now that they have flipped the control back in their favor, to be able to just never let go of it. And the next push comes in, and there's the first ultimate. The Graviton comes in, we see a flurry of ults, and Enigma with a triple.
Graviton surge into Pulse Bomb. Thank you very much. Enigma saying, I'm going to go ahead and grab this paycheck, and they are sending a statement of intent. But take a look at what Method did. Taking the point, by the way, sneakily, while you have those team fights, is very valuable. Look, they've built 24% right now. They could basically be on 0% versus 75, and that would make things a lot more awkward for them. They'd be under a lot more pressure. So Method are doing some fantastic things, but they need to be winning these team fights in order to come in and collapse. Everybody using the ultimates. There are no more left on the field except for Snow. And we have Psycho Waffle landing the sound barrier. They need to get those picks off. God takes one early on, but Enigma fighting back.
Absolutely, it's definitely going to be an interesting situation now because NRG and Method are very even on the ultimate battles, but the problem is Method is that they don't want that. They need to be on an advantage right now because we are seeing more and more percentages going towards NRG at the moment as Enigma and Milo is trying to walk over them. We still have Enigma just sitting here on the Tracer, and it's you have so much durability with Tracer, so many spots to just dash in and out, blink in and out rather, as we see that also Milo will be doing a great job in just staying alive. The survival there was fantastic with that Zarya, and they are close now. And we need a contestation to prevent them just taking it and to allow Method to go for the play.
Standard, absolutely stand-out performance coming out of here from Enigma. Pooks allowing him to use Sound Barrier to see if he can get a couple more kills in. Everybody getting on the board, but Milo with the double kill. Enigma has been ever present. I don't know how many kills he's had so far this game, but he is by far the biggest person in the kill feed for NRG, and Tracer just wasn't stopped there. So NRG going 1-0 up early on against Method.
Yeah, and you have to really, to a large extent, credit Seagull's opening with the Genji. He got so much damage initially, and after that, Method's lines had to kind of disperse, and they just got picked off one by one. And not only did it secure a big advantage for the ultimates and NRG, they were able to just build up loads of time.
We have a basket. I heard the
nice.
the sinking the basket music. So I believe that might have been on Method's half of the map. So they're starting things off very positively there. There'll be plenty of confetti on the floor in that room, I'm sure. And we're taking a look at what looks like red and blue factions of the market here. I'm not really sure if the water over there is particularly tasty compared to the water on the other side, but it's certainly economic warfare as far as the food stalls are concerned.
Yeah, and right now we've got gods on the Winston, which is pretty fun to see that be the case, as Enigma and Seagull are going for the DPS Tracer Genji combo, very dangerous in these situations on King of the Hill, as Seagull tries to find his way in now, and looks like this time it's going to be actually NRG getting split up and picked off one by one. Seagull has a little bit of support there and the ability to get out of there, but surely he can't survive for too much longer.
Snow doing a very good job grabbing a double, and Enigma actually dying so that he can respawn with his team. That gives Method the first capture here on the second point. Method are fighting back, and Gods there with the initial hits on Winston allows him to get an early pickoff, but Ultimate Web was doing the exact same damage on the other side for Method, and they were able to get those pickoffs just a little bit faster, allowing them to take the first fight here.
Ultimate Web trying to get in there now with the Genji, as it's looking like a pretty good engagement, especially around that Winston shield there here in the courtyard battle. And indeed, Ultra Web has himself that Dragon Blade. We see a couple frags made there by NRG, but it's all about Method at the moment as Ultimate Weapon comes back in to assist the point and to eliminate the rest of NRG that think, perhaps foolishly so, that they can do any more there on the point. They're going to have to go for the next attack, and right now, Method are looking actually fantastic.
Snow and Ultimate Web coming into their own here. And maybe Snow seeing what Enigma did on the last point going, oh yeah, I'm Tracer, I can do that too. He's been all over the place, maybe with a little bit more room to move compared to the previous point. He's got a pulse bomb available as well. Coming out trying to eliminate Genji initially, and Genji actually has a Discord orb on him as well. So he is a fat, juicy target. NRG trying to flip the point and being sneaky, but it looks like the rest of Method are going to be able to collapse back. Here comes the sound barrier as the two teams now contest the point, and Method once again are going to be able to hold.
Yep, looking very good for them, as we can see the suicide there, again, just to prevent being staggered. And that is going to be interesting now, because Method, they haven't given up a flip just yet, and they have still the ultimate advantage moving into the next fight. As far as the ultimates you have to work with, do they have any support ultimates? Yes, they got a Transcendence there to match up. Actually, there's no support ultimate on NRG, so that's going to be their problem getting to the choke point.
That's right, Dummy and Pooks are going to have to be very, very careful. They need to try and raise that on very early on, but Ultimate Web grabbing his blade out first, and he picks up Seagull just as he was going to use his. So that is an excellent start to the engagement for Method. They're up to 95%. There might not be a route back here for NRG. They need to get on the point, and they need to contest it right now, but Method here are doing tremendous damage.
Yeah, very late Transcendence there coming in from NRG to just keep themselves alive on this point, to keep the contestation going. But Exi there with a lot of charge on that Zarya, a lot of survivability and staying power, and it is going to be a full team wipe for NRG.
Wow.
And Method are going to take it. They didn't give up anything there. Beautiful opening, and they never let go.
That was a great opening statement from NRG, but Method responding with 100-0 on point number 2. Clearly more comfortable with the open space that the market provides. Also very dangerous and difficult to flank here, of course, because of the environmental kills. The fact that you can get booped off the ledge, and it's pretty easy to actually go from the front of the point to the back where that flanking route is. But now we move on to the garden, and we see what both NRG and Method are up to here.
And the interesting thing there is that I think that NRG may have taken a risk with a player trying to go for a fast flank, and then got killed almost immediately, giving them a man disadvantage very early on. It would be nice to actually have a look at that later on, but either way, we are on to... Well, I wanted to see a Pharah here, but we won't see one. Of course, that would be very rare, but things are kicking off here now as both teams will meet themselves to get those one-on-ones, potentially, to try to make the difference here. It's both Winstons, it's like synchronous swimming.
Exactly right. Both jumping into the other team's camp, of course, diverting attention, trying to do some damage as well. And Chronic is going to be the first person to go down there on the part of Method, as NRG are much more positive coming out of the gates this time around, and they will be able to force Method back. No full team wipe, but enough to get them to reset.
Yeah, and last point as well, it was really nice from Method, because in a lot of their engagements, they were able to take down the DPSs of NRG almost at the start of the engagement. If you can start off an engagement with either that or killing the support, does swing things in your favor. And here comes the next barrage from the Method side as they try to retake the control and go for the flip. But we get a forward initiation coming in here from NRG as well. They want to take the fight straight to their opponents, and so far it's working.
Oh, Psycho Waffle managing to just about dodge Enigma there as he runs for his life. Method maybe not really ready for NRG there as they move further forward, and now they're regrouping for another attack. We're up to 28% now for NRG. Both points really so far have been quite biased one way or the other, so it'll be interesting to see if Method can contest here and hold for the full 100%. Here comes Kronich in with the Monkey once again. Can he actually get the kill? No! Transcendence gets popped.
Yeah, and this is looking good for NRG because they have so many ultimates about to be ready to their disposal. A nice play from Enigma. So annoying. Tracer in these 1 versus 1s is just so horrible to deal with. And we will see NRG holding on not only to the point, but onto 5 ultimates. That is so huge.
Snow hasn't really been as visible as Enigma this time around on the map. It's interesting because it is still quite well open. There's plenty of opportunity for a flank, but of course there is that narrow corridor in. They're moving on in, and Milo actually getting killed before Pooks' ultimate was able to take hold there. Method now moving in with the Transcendence as well. Wolf trying to give his team a little bit of room to breathe, but Seagull is out and on a rampage trying to make sure that he gets those picks to prevent them from coming in.
Yeah, it was a very, very nice kill onto the opposing Genji, stopping him from escaping, giving a nice DPS edge here to NRG as they continue to try to weather the constant engagements put on them by the stragglers here of Method as they just trickle on in, and looking like NRG going to make this one happen from this perspective. Still with a decent advantage, they have that Pulse Bomb Graviton Surge combo to go with if they need to hit the panic button, so they should be good in this next engagement. And there is the delay, the overtime has been set.
Oh man, and now we have Graviton Surge, all of the ultimates coming in from NRG to try and prevent Method from retaking here. Transcendence coming down, but Wolf actually getting taken out very quickly by Gods there as well, and it doesn't look like this trickle is going to work. In the days of 6 Tracer, maybe we would have seen something work here occasionally, but right now it is a trickle. Overtime is going to continue to tick faster and faster. We have a rather angry Winston on the point, but Discord Orb turns anybody who's angry into basically a pile of mush, and Method will lose the point. NRG now up 2-1.
And this is the interesting thing for me as well, because this time we saw a much more, well, again, like there's the synchronous Winstons jump, like leaping across. You know, you would expect, I think, from many perspectives, to have NRG take the edges when they get just the very standard engagement, where there's no big risk taking to go wrong, where they stay together as a team and work together. And in the previous point, we saw a situation on the courtyard where there's, I think, a risk taken by a very, very forward player, giving them an early man disadvantage. That's something that they don't really necessarily need to do. Of course, you know, NRG are going to know the tricks a lot better than I will, but Method, they were able to capitalize on that because they were looking for those potential aggressions. And so if NRG plays solid like that, it seems like they just never will give it away.
Precisely. I think we need to make sure that Method don't get those early picks onto NRG if they're able to defend here. Don't forget, we have actually had both teams basically go through all the points now because we are back into the control room. Now NRG were reasonably good here where Method didn't actually have the room to maneuver. Dummy is actually the first person to go down though, so that's a pretty crucial early support.
Yeah, and Enigma's been pretty good here for NRG on this Tracer, just especially on points like this. We can just dash in and around all the DPSs, just constantly keeping yourself, just holding down Mouse 1, dealing the damage. And Seagull as well, coming in now for the shurikens, for the slices, as he's trying to build that ultimate meter. He's doing a very good job at that, but he is losing teammates at the moment, and he might want to get out of there. Tries to dash away, but he gets caught by the Zenyatta.
Yeah, exactly. Wolf and Kronich actually doing a very good job at combining with each other, using those orbs to make sure that Winston doesn't get too low as well. And that is going to earn Method the first capture. This is interesting because NRG were very strong here last time around. Enigma really showed us some strong performances, and Snow felt a little bit less comfortable. But now it seems like he's coming into his own just a little bit more. And there's the Pulse Bomb taking out Milo as well, guaranteeing that Method will basically get up to 35–40%.
Yeah, this is really great. Last time they managed to get the first hold, they managed to not even allow NRG to even flip it just once because they were so good at keeping their ultimates in check that they would have more than their opposition, that they would always they would try to avoid burning 2 at once in the big ult showdowns. So that very good cognizance of ultimates really helped Method last time. Maybe it will this time as well.
A lot of this is coming down to which Tracer is showing up and is basically outpacing the other here, and Snow and Enigma locked in a little bit of a battle as Ultimate comes in with the blade, getting a double. Enigma still doing work out in back, but he cannot possibly do the work for the rest of the team as well. He's going to have to fall behind. This is basically, on a superficial level at least, Snow versus Enigma going on here.
I think to a large extent as well, NRG perhaps realize that they're in a spot where they're just going to take a bunch of engagements, just try to build up all the ultimates and just try for that one big flip. And here it comes. Speed boost in, sound barrier drop, the graviton coming in to counter it all, to try to negate the push and put very bad positioning on top of NRG. But we've got Seagull. No, he's going to get taken down, kicked in the face by Rulf and Zenyatta. We still have Enigma in there trying to get the damage done, but he can't find a good spot for that pulse bomb just yet.
Most of the point is actually being taken right now. They're about 2/3 of the way through, but Method are filing back in. And it's only Enigma with an ultimate available at the moment for NRG. That was their window of opportunity. They weren't able to take it. And Method now are into overtime. We're looking at 99-0 on the point that NRG previously took entirely. And this is incredible. Enigma and Gods going down. Seagull not being able to take this out as well. Ultimate Web now still trying to bash everyone off of the point, but this is very difficult.
Oh, it absolutely is, and we'll get a couple kills coming in here from NRG, but I don't think they can do this. There's too many members alive, or there was at least for Method, and they still have a lot of sustain here, and looks like they're going to cap the point, just barely unable to get there with the Tracer in time to just tap that radius there, the control point, to keep the overtime going. And again, we see the similar trend whereby, you know, if they're able to win that first big fight, they're able to actually just hold on 100-0 pretty much and stop NRG from making a single flip, which is very interesting.
Big deflect there towards the end of that engagement as well. Very, very nice stuff coming out from both teams, and it does mean that in our first map between Method and NRG, of course, the winner is going up to face Rise Nation, already Group D, the most competitive, the most exciting that we've seen here at the Overwatch Open, and there are 2 tickets for Atlanta up for grabs for 2 of these teams. Who is it going to be advancing on? This is map number 1 between NRG and Method, and we are down to the final point here on Lijang Tower.
Yeah, and we have, I think, mirror compositions. Yeah, we have a mirror composition for NRG and Method going with the same setups. Who can do it better? Last time, an overextension perhaps cost NRG the first fight, and we know how much that means to them. Enigma this time will be the guy to take the first frag, and that's onto the Winston, which is very important right there for NRG. As you can see them controlling the choke points. Ultimate Web tries to get around and try to capitalize on Tracer and maybe some of these squishies, but it looks like NRG is sticking together very well.
NRG are doing a good job of just separating themselves when they need to get rid of Discord Orb, for example, and then coming back and supporting each other as they move on through to the point. They are functioning as one unit right now, heading onto the market phase. This is interesting because this is where Method were extremely strong and managed to hold NRG 100-0. So right now, NRG are getting the point first, doing a tremendous job. Enigma this time is getting the better of his opposite number, but Method are fighting back.
And there is actually a Transcendence available on Rolf, but no, never mind. Rolf is going to get insta-gamed there by the Pulse Bomb. So see you later, and that's a very good job by Enigma to keep the effort alive for NRG, because if that Transcendence pops, who knows quite what would have happened, as you know, trying to get a quick check on the Dragon Blades. We're very close with Seagull and Ultimate Web there.
Those 2 crucial pickoffs there from Wolf and Ultimate Web as well, just doing a lot of damage to turn the point around. NRG maybe weren't expecting that very much. We have another massive team fight here, and Psycho Waffle is going to be helping his team with Sound Barrier. Here comes a big Graviton Surge. There's the Pulse Bomb from Snow, only picking up Milo, but a lot of damage being done right now to NRG. They're going to get forced back. Tracer being targeted down. Enigma picking someone up on the way out, though. They need to be careful not to overextend. And Method are back, and they're ahead in the percentage game.
Yeah, this is getting very interesting. This is the first time that we're going to see something like this between these 2 teams. Usually, if Method picks it up, they just win it. This time they're able to get the flip. Last time I think this happened, NRG are able to get it straight back. They have the ultimates into play right now. Ultimate Web can do a lot of damage with this Dragon Blade, able to take down the Lucio. That's a big pickoff right there. Can he get the Genji as well? Trying to pursue. He finds Zarya as well with the Winston in pursuit, and that is 3 kills back to back to slow down NRG, and that's going to buy Method a lot.
That was so crucial as well, because at exactly the same time that Ultimate Web used his ultimate, Seagull used his. We had dual Dragon Blades coming out, and Seagull was not able to make it count. The Transcendence was good from Rolf, and Seagull just couldn't find the picks he needed, so he's not going to have his ultimate for a little while. Pulse Bomb getting whiffed early on. Chronix getting the first kill off here, and Method is up to 75%.
And right now we're going to see that Graviton Surge almost panic thrown because Marley just couldn't find a good way to get that one out there. It was a very good spread from Method. They understood that the Graviton was a risk, and they really negated it very well through positioning, a good cognizance of exactly what NRG were trying to attack with. And with that Graviton gone, it's going to be really hard for NRG to actually do anything. We can see Enigma has the Pulse Bomb, but what is he going to use it with?
This is it. NRG have one more push to try and dislodge Method here. They have to make this work. This is 2-2. If they're able to flip this and hold on, they win the entire map. The stakes are extremely high. We're into overtime. Enigma on top of the point. Psycho Waffle picking off Lucio. That's important as well, because now we don't have the opposing number. We need all that healing to get that sustain on the point. And all 6 members of Method are down. NRG are doing it. They're flipping the point. They have a lot to do right now, but step 1 has been taken.
Seagull standing tall with the blade. The last minute flip as they look to get some the next engagement, maybe to go forward on the choke point. That's normally what a lot of teams like to do, try to take control of the courtyard. But NRG right now playing it very passively, trying to stick together, allowing NF Method to move into the courtyard, and then the bait comes out. Seagull with one. The assassination is just continuing. There's a double coming in right at the end there. Seagull is taking no prisoners right now, and this is not going to work out for Method. The only thing they have going for themselves is a bit of time, and they do have a lot of ultimates to sustain themselves. Both Sound Barrier and Transcendence in for the next engagement.
NRG have come alive. Give these guys your energy, ladies and gentlemen, as Seagull did a tremendous job, but we're at 99% versus 60. They're going to have to do that in 2, potentially 3 more team fights. We will see how quickly this ends up going down here as Snow comes in early on. He's looking for targets for Pulse Bomb, opting not to use it that time around, spotting the support ultimates, which is very good from him. Method now coming in from Wolf. He's going to be able to pop the Transcendent. Snow using the Pulse, not able to get target. Still all 12 alive. Dummy going to be first one down, and Seagull starts racking up the kills, but that's 3 for Method, and the momentum is strong.
Ultimate Web in there with a Dragon Blade of his own, and Method systematically taking him down. It is going to take an insane effort right now for NRG. I don't think there's anyone that can get on to the point in time.
Wow.
It will be Method's. Are we going to see more upsets here today? Because Method just took map 1 against NRG. Perhaps this is the night of the underdogs. This
is going to be very interesting indeed. We are looking at a potential prospect here of Method going up against Rise Nation in the winners match. This was an incredible play from Seagull though, and I thought that they were showing some great signs of brilliance. Seagull is known for doing this kind of stuff. This was beautiful to watch. The amount of area he covered in picking off those guys, and actually one after that play of the game as well, allowed them to retake the point and keep hold of it, but they were maybe 1 or 2 team fights just a little bit too slow to be able to take that point away from Method, and that's all they're going to need.
And the question now is whether they can have a similar result on a payload style map, because it's a very different story. It's definitely much more quintessentially the Overwatch experience when it comes to how you decide to coordinate your team and the strategies in which you want to use. Because again, on Lijang right there, we saw a lot of mirror setups from team compositions, just like battering rams going, just ramming into each other and playing that war of attrition until one team edging it out here and there on ultimate management, as well as just individual engagements, came out on top, and that was individually very, very close.
So a lot of that actually came down to how effective we saw individual DPS players were. It tended to be the battle of the Tracers a little bit on Lijang. Whenever Enigma was on fire, all of a sudden NRG were all over the place and it looked fantastic. But when he wasn't, you had you had the other Tracers just running around doing incredible amounts of damage, and Method really sinking their teeth into the position as well. And it ended up being just a situation where the Genjis maybe weren't really the star of the show. It did feel like Tracer versus Tracer for a little bit, and we're going for map 2 back into another King of the Hill. So we were talking about payload and whether we were going to switch it up. Nope, we're staying with the same thing.
I almost made the quick assumption there that, with such an even experience, then maybe not wanting to go with another King of the Hill. If you get the choice to do that, maybe you'd pick the payload, but looks like they don't want to be beaten down on the King of the Hill. They're going to make their stand here, NRG, and I mean, we saw a good match for Seagull. We saw, well, actually, Ghost was playing the Winston. Not in the past, I've seen him on the McCrees and so on in a more DPS role. But we saw Enigma, being the kind of dedicated tracer instead. So that was quite a fun mix-up there for me personally.
I think there were several factors that allowed the DPS players to do what they do really well. You picked up on one of them really just very important, especially in the Garden phase, where the Winstons were jumping in. The goal there is to disrupt, not to get killed while you're in the air, because if you're on the ground and you get the bubble down, it means fewer people can attack you, and you just generally distract so that your DPS players have the room to maneuver and have the ability to deal that damage. That's going to be very important in places where the map is really open. In places like Control Point, Winstons have a little bit less space to work around, but it was very polarized at times. Again, whenever one tracer just had the better of the other, it felt like that team was the one that was moving forward.
Yeah, and Method did a great job at outmaneuvering their opponents as well. There was a very few key spots in the courtyard, and that's a very, everyone knows that dynamic on Lijang. The courtyard phase, do you try to press up against the choke point? Well, if you try to do that, you do risk, getting caught in these big ultimates like graviton surges and so on and so forth. But they always seem to have a very good sense for how to kind of position themselves in the courtyard, disperse themselves, and they made, for example, the Zarya Milo's life very, very difficult to say, how do I place this graviton surge and get the money out of it? And if the fight just keeps going on, still doesn't know, where to place it until eventually everyone's still dispersed and he's lost too many teammates to even do anything with it. And that was the last attempt for them on an attack, and that's why it was crippled. And that was just Method just understanding the positional game incredibly well.
A lot of that also comes down to being able to stagger your ultimates effectively. You see some teams that maybe aren't quite top tier, where you're not actually using your sound barriers and your transcendences to the maximum to keep your team alive for as long as you necessarily need to. Method, okay, they did suffer a team wipe frankly, at the hands of what was an excellent play of the game from Seagull there. I thought that was great. But the follow-up there, where they were able to stagger their plays, get the initial picks off on NRG, you always run the risk of that when you let another team get to 99%, because it just means that they only need to take, and you either start a trickle, or if they hold it for a couple of seconds, they win the point. So with a little bit more breathing room there, I actually think the result could have been different, and NRG can come back, and they could have taken that point. But already on 99%, you're always putting yourself in a difficult situation.
Well, it is time for redemption, perhaps, as we move into the second King of the Hill map. It will be Nepal, and this will be certainly very interesting. And with Seagull on the server, you never want to just count him out for doing some crazy stuff. And as far as crazy stuff is concerned, I have seen teams actually open up on this point with a Bastion. As the teams kind of clash on the high ground, you jump out with the Bastion, and if you're there with the speed boost, you get the Bastion set up just in time to catch them in that choke point, and the DPS is unreal. So that's what tends to be, or has been a thing in the spots where I've seen it used. Will we see that here? I'm not sure, but it would be fun, that's for sure.
Well, a big battle is going to be Ultima Web and Snow going up against Seagull and Enigma, but already we have a little bit of a switch up from NRG here, as Poops is going to be going on Ana, and we have Enigma. Oh, hang on a second, that is just going to be the swap for the beginning. So we have Enigma and Seagull versus Snow and Ultima Web. Keep an eye on those DPSs, they're going to be so crucial in the opening phases here as the fight begins.
And again, we can see just the split off into their respective sides as everybody's just attacking and trying to get those squishies down. And we see trades going both ways at the moment, so it's fairly unclear who's going to be able to come in and contest get the first capture. Right now, Method does have the better positioning, so it looks like NRG decided to go for the regroup there after losing a couple members and being out of position. And we saw what Method can do when they get that first point.
Ultima Web getting the first kill there onto Seagull, and out of the 4 DPS players, Snow was the last person standing. So he will be able to make that influential pick. He's looking to build up his ultimate at the moment as NRG regroup. Nobody has an ult yet, so they still should be able to come in and try and take a straight fight, even if they did lose the first team engagement. This is their opportunity to grab the point, but Seagull again going down for a second time in a row. Enigma trying to do some work, but the DPSs aren't working quite so much in harmony as they did on the last map.
Yeah, man, Seagull just lost a 1v1 against the Zenyatta. That's karma. That's karma right there. For Zenyatta's all across the world. Get wrecked, Seagull.
This is technically his map, at least, Zenyatta. Yeah. I mean, he's pretty much at home here, but you need to be getting that purchase as Genji. So we'll be looking for him to come back and try and improve upon that. Snow now, he's got a pulse bomb available as well, so maybe getting a little bit better of Enigma in terms of, oh my goodness, the pulse is real, but they can't actually make it count. Exi down to half health, Kronich down to half as well, but they don't get the final blows.
And this is a great setup now for NRG because they have all the ultimates, including the Dragon Blade. It's going to be, well, Seagull's actually not going to pop that. He's very low and wasn't in a position to make use of it. But right now, it's kind of crazy that Snow isn't managing to survive for so long, even getting healed up. NRG, again, they had so many ultimates to purchase, to try to claim that point with, but they decided that the coordination wasn't quite perfect, so they're going to let a few seconds more go and just try to plan it on the regroup and on the attack. as we see coming in now.
Wolf is on a little bit of a rampage right now. He is on Seagull and Enigma. Judy just looking for them as much as possible to try and get rid of their squishy DPS targets. Snow getting a pickup onto Dummy as far as the supports are concerned. Here comes a Graviton Surge coming out from Milo. Do we see the finish from Enigma? And it's Seagull grabbing a triple off the end of that. We didn't need the pulse bomb there at all. No siree. And now we have the flip. NRG are back on the board, but Method up to 95%. That's going to be really difficult for NRG to overturn.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say that Cyclewalker was in a bit of a weird predicament there, where he's like very far ahead of his teammates going on to the point. 1 versus 1 against high energy Zarya, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway. And we're going to see the next attack come in. This is very much needed here for NRG. Need to start building ultimate advantage as well. Try to conserve, try to be very efficient, and this is working out very well. You want Seagull to be able to get these one-on-ones, build that ultimate as he's doing. This is perfect right now. Seagull near 50%, but they need more here.
He picks up Wolf and he makes it personal as well. Zenyatta took him out twice and he's like, this time I have your number. He takes out Wolf as the point continues to stay in possession of NRG. More importantly, they have Transcendence as well, and they're looking to build upon the second support ultimate in terms of Pooks, and they're going to try and keep this out of Method's hands. So far, they're doing a good job, and here we go. Snow moving in onto the point, and we also have XE coming in from the other side as well. Everybody on the point now from Method. Very bunched up. Potential opportunity for Enigma. Are we going to see the pulse bomb rewind? Looking for the targets. Won't be able to see them clumped.
Yeah, Enigma looking for that perfect spot for the pulse bomb at the moment, but all the targets finally going to avail themselves to him as he gets himself into the sound barrier. Will be helping out very nicely, and now might be an opportunity for him to finally get that pulse bomb in there, but he's going to get tagged down by the Winston as this point is highly contested, but a Winston of their own, and God's able to pop the Primal Rage and bash people off the point as they try to retake control of the positioning. A Graviton defensively placed by Method there to hold on for just a little bit longer. Are NRG able to make this work? They're getting the frags that they need, but in comes Ultra Web, shut down though, and it's going to be Snow. Again, this fight is just constantly going on.
Snow and Ultimate Web both going down to Milo, and that could be the difference maker here for NRG as they retake with 80% Method back up to 99. That flip made it so close for them, but they were not able to finish the job and get over the finish line in the end. NRG now have an opportunity. If they win this team fight, they will be able to take this point from Method. Here we go.
There is the Graviton and full energy, a pulse bomb, and this should be everyone dead surely there for Method as they start to hit the ground one after the other, and it's going to be a very nice save here from NRG. What a comeback. Seagull with the triple, a flourish right at the end, and NRG, they start off Nepal, well, with the win that they wanted.
That was incredibly close. NRG there responding very well. I mean, we knew it was going to be close after seeing Lijang going all the way to the 5th point. Both sides at 99%, and NRG holding on. Seagull with the triple to finish off there as we move into the 2nd point. But that is going to be a very welcome first point on the board here for NRG.
Yeah, indeed, especially considering how well Method had been playing and how close they made that. I mean, there was a lot of spots where you could definitely see NRG losing right there, but moving into this next point, I wonder if we'll see any McCree. I mean, Tracer's really good here as well. I actually prefer generally the Tracer and the mobility and so on that Tracer does provide, being able to blink all over the place, and we've seen some crazy, awesome plays by Tracers here, but actually no McCree. Is Snow going to stay in the hand zone? I really don't think that's going to be it. Is that a thing?
Well, Gods is coming back out onto Roadhog, which is particularly interesting. Snow is indeed playing Hanzo, so we'll see if he pulls a Calvin from earlier today. That could be very interesting indeed. Kronich, again, maybe overextending a little bit because we have actually seen him die on 2 occasions now, potentially 3 on Winston to start things off, and Method are going to be 1 tank down as NRG look to contest the point. But importantly, Method fell back. They didn't allow it to go into a full 6v5 team fight where they lose very quickly. Wolf going down now as well, though, makes the point very difficult for them to capture.
It's good to see goals on that Roadhog looking for those hooks, but we do get the Dragon Blade pulled out. Ultimate Web is going to be assassinating individuals there on the side of NRG as they get a decisive man advantage until there's just nothing left. NRG have to go and go for the flip, and this is where Method are really strong.
That was so important there for Ultimate Web to show up. He completely turned about for Method. Did a really good job considering they were 2 men down to start things off, and NRG getting sucked into the Graviton. Fantastic follow-up here, and here comes Snow with the Dragon Strike. He's looking for the money shot, not able to get the kills he was looking for though. Roadhog coming in, Gods, he's going to get taken out. Enigma now switching onto Ana. and trying to get the nano boost there, but that doesn't seem to be working either. Method now on the point. Everything being tried from NRG. Poog's coming in though, and that is 5 people with a lot of hit points.
It really is an ultimate web. He doesn't have that Dragon Blade just quite yet. And we're going to get more Dragon Strikes coming in, as we'll see the point heavily contested by both sides. But it looks like NRG have a lot of staying power right now. They also have that Earth Shadow should they want to use it, the Graviton, but no support ultimates. They're going to have to just keep the sustain alive to keep their staying power for the time being, because the pressure is coming back in very quickly. That's a nice hook landed there, but there's no finish. Oh, great fire strike, and they will finish off their hand. So looking good here for NRG. And right now, that Ana nano boost is going to be very scary when combined with Gods.
This triple support, triple tank composition, we were talking about it with Fnatic previously, and now NRG are using it to good effect here on the second point on Nepal. They are 1-0 up, which means that, of course, if they're able to take this one, it will get them to map points. So let's see how well this works out for them. It's all about the explosion, trying to get Gods there on the Roadhog to get those early picks. Milo coming in with the nano boost, and not quite able to get the kill so far. He's launched basically into outer space, goes to the other side of the point, still managing actually for everybody to more or less stay together, and Enigma getting the first kill. NRG are now showing that the staying power means a lot.
The crazy thing with that nano boost is it's such a big distraction, because that Reinhardt, usually just a tank, maybe you're not too worried about his damage, but suddenly he gets in your face. He's a big problem. So much focus goes on to him, whilst the rest of NRG have all the space to work with to make that positional play, to get the superior engagements and to win the fight. Not only just do that, they also get a more efficient situation to generate ultimates, and that should secure them this point if they play it correctly.
All right, so Ultimate Web switching onto Reaper now to try and deal a little bit more damage very quickly to the tanks. That's definitely worth noting. Snow still continuing to hang around on Hanzo. I mean, if he's able to build ult and get everyone off the point, that's great. If they end up being a little bit less mobile, here comes the whole hog, and with nano boost as well, that's an incredible amount of damage. Snow goes down. Gods doesn't care. He's moving straight on and going full Honey Badger, finds Rolf as well, and now we have unbelievable scenes. NRG are absolutely stomping all over Method. They are not able to crack this 3-3 composition.
I absolutely love this composition from NRG. And again, we saw the NIP just apply this composition to more or less every situation and then masters of it. But here particularly, you can see the kind of power that you get from just nano boosting a tank down these single channels, being able to stand on the point or chase people around with the whole hog. You get everything with this setup.
That was painful actually to watch Tracer in slow motion launch into the air at the end of that, as Snow went and grabbed himself the triple kill. And look at this, that was with Transcendence nearby as well. God was like, haha, that's cute, I've got nano boost. Excuse me, mate, I'm gonna go ahead and ruin your day. And now we move on to Shrine with 2-0 in the direction of NRG. They're looking to even this up, taking the other King of the Hill from Method. But of course, Method are gonna try and do the reverse flip.
And unfortunately for the fans of that 3-tank, 3-support setup, NRG will be moving away from that. And we see very standard setups from both sides. I think even, yeah, I believe the mirror setup from both sides. So we've seen this before. Who's going to be able to play it out better? It's all about these initial engagements and who can isolate these squishies to get that first capture.
And it's entirely appropriate here because Tracer is going to have so much of a better time with her mobility. God's getting the first pick up on Exi, and the Seagull trying to look for Wolf. He manages to get him as well. So that's Zenyatta out of the equation. He's looking for the second support. He spotted Psycho Waffle. He's now too far away to matter, and NRG are going to be getting the first capture. Good focus and good pushing to people off the point.
Yeah, this is really great play again. NRG basically winning the game initially.
Oh, wow.
The isolation game.
That was a triple from Enigma, helped by Seagull a little bit. He actually took out Snow as well, who was trying to target Enigma down. So that was big because it means that Enigma gets an awful lot of ult charge. Snow was actually ahead of him. If you want an idea, by the way, of just how effective that was, Enigma just got 3 kills. Snow got killed off by Seagull. Snow is still going to get the faster pulse bomb. He's been fantastic, and he really loves having this open space to work with. So very important there for NRG to continue building up percentage and make sure that the Tracers are aligned.
And one issue for Method is going to be saying to themselves, okay, do we want to, how do we want to manage the ultimates now? Do we go for an engagement where we feel like we're going to lose this, we just want to make it drawn out so we can build need to maybe force them to use a couple so then we can attack the next point with the ults that we need and maybe an even ult situation. That could be one way to think about this. You can see a lot of long range shots here from both sides as they do try to get those shots to build some of those ultimates, bring up those percentages. But right now it's the fact that Seagull's sitting on a Dragon Blade worries me incredibly for Method.
Exactly right. Dragon Blade plus Pulse Bomb there. Oh, Zenyatta maybe doing a little bit of meditation before we actually started. Looks like they might have been waiting for Ultimate Web to have an ultimate available. In fact, it's both DPSs from both sides. We are going to have 2 Dragon Blades and 2 Pulse Bombs now in this engagement. Seagull is going to be the first to unsheath the blade. He comes in, he's looking for the support. He can't actually get the last hit off onto Psycho Waffle, though. He manages to just about move away and defend. And now we have the action on the point. There we go. There goes Lucio. And Snow still continuing not to use the Pulse Bomb. Never mind. There it is. And he gets a double on Enigma and Pooks.
Yeah, it's a great start there, and Seagull's going to come back in, and that Pulse Bomb has basically opened up everything. Ultimate Web coming in with his Dragon Blaze, swiping him down, and that's going to be a fantastic push on for Method. I was a little bit worried for them initially because, you know, NRG seemed like just because they had some better positioning that they were going to be able to hold on to some better engagements, but Method finding it where they needed it thanks to the Pulse Bomb, and now we get the scout play from Snow. Now they know where the attack's coming from NRG.
We've seen this before, though. I mean, remember NRG on Lijang Tower, able to convincingly flip the point, but the opposition already on 99%. We'll see if they can do that here. 98, effectively the same as they come in. Method now using Transcendence to try and keep a little bit of longevity in the point. Enigma coming in with the Pulse Bomb, looking for those kills, gets the triple. They actually were down a few to start things off. So NRG trying to complete the turnabout and doing very, very massive just amounts of work there. That was really good from them, but it's ultimately not enough.
Yeah, Ultimate Web still alive. And one of the big plays there is just the fact that Method, he popped his Transcendence maybe prematurely, and then when Milo saw this with his Graviton, he's like, well, you've just wasted the only ultimate that can stop us from just maximizing the potential of this Graviton. And that Pulse Bomb was almost turned the tide there, but it looks like it's going to come down to this right now as we have the push in, as the Winstons go for the leaps. We have another Pulse Bomb. The Graviton Pulse Bomb combo is always a favorite, as the Transcendence will push NRG all the way in there. Seagull, Dummy, and Milo all combining there to have themselves enough frags to get on the point. A bit of Primal Rage, but NRG, they should be on this now.
Yeah, but now overtime ticking down. NRG, we were talking about only needing the one flip. They are going to be able to get someone in Psycho Waffle trying to touch the point. No, he dies quite literally millimeters away from that, and NRG convincingly take Nepal by 3-0.
Wow, so, yeah, it's there are a lot of really, really close moments there, and you can see from an individual perspective, Method are really able to shine in the right spots. They can go Genji for Genji. We saw Ultimate Web having some really huge plays, just as Seagull did. I don't think one necessarily stood out much more so than the other. I felt, generally speaking, from an individual perspective, both teams actually were quite similar. So, I mean, that really could have gone either way.
Snow doing a very good job on Tracer, but we did see a big difference between Lijang Tower and Nepal. It almost felt like NRG woke up a little bit, and Seagull had some fantastic plays. Pooks did a good job of actually staying in the backline and not getting picked off. The number of times that we said that he was getting taken out early on in a fight and them being without a support wasn't really that often at all, and they were able to stagger their support ults when they needed to, just staying alive in the backline. But on that second point, able to use the 3-tank, 3-support composition when they were in a bit more of a confined space and needed that longevity on the point, and they just couldn't get cracked. That was really nicely played there by NRG.
And this is looking very exciting now, as we will be moving shortly into our third map, the Decider. Will this be a day of upsets? We're going to find out after a very short break.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. It's map 3 of 3. The winner of this map on Hollywood will advance to the winners match here in Group D. All square at 1-1 between NRG and Method. Is Seagull gonna be victorious and swoop down and take the waffle? Or is Psycho Waffle gonna have some poultry for breakfast?
Damn. I can't really respond to that. It's too good. I got nothing, man. Can't
Poultry for breakfast does sound a bit weird, actually.
But what I will add is your point about moving on to the winner bracket, because the winner will play against Rise Nation. What?
I know.
What?
This is going to be amazing. I mean, the favorites to advance from the group, like, pretty much unanimous before it actually started, were NRG and Complexity. There is a real possibility now that they meet in a lower bracket match. This Group D was always going to be hotly contested. There were favorites, but they were slim favorites, and this has given us all the excitement that we could have wanted. This is fantastic stuff. Fighting for the last 2 spots in Atlanta for the $300,000 prize in the Overwatch Open, and it all now comes down to this to see who advances to the winners match. Pooks, by the way, is on Symmetra. We also have Enigma on Ana and Dummy on Zenyatta. We have the triple support once again from NRG.
I have to say I'm a little bit scared for NRG with this composition, but lucky for them they're not playing NIP at the very least with the triple tank, triple support, where they can just basically stand on the point. Because right now the risk is that the Pooks with Symmetra only starts to pay off if they are able to deflect the first attack and build that charge and get that teleporter going. And here comes the first push. You know, they're going to know how to play against this. And there is the jump, the dive, the Winston shield is down. And wow, Seagull's raining in the damage, but will it be enough?
Yeah, and I mean, Symmetra's turrets aren't actually doing the damage. They wanted to bait Method to come up top to fight them there, but it doesn't look like they were interested. Method actually just stayed on the low ground and were able to get a very quick one and done. So with this strategy maybe not working out the way they would have wanted to, fire in the hole, absolutely not, says Snow. And this is looking disastrous to start things off on Hollywood here for NRG.
Yeah, you kind of feel like they are a team that doesn't need to take all the big risks. Maybe the big risk is just playing the Junkrat, and for a lot of teams that's risk enough, because again the dive compositions that we see stops Junkrat from getting as much value, and also the Zaryas and so on and so forth. And the pace at which Method are pushing forwards is quite worrying here right now, as NRG don't really have much to stop them at the moment, and there's no ultimates. We've got a Dragon Blade from Ultimate, we've got everything working Method's favor. This is so scary.
Pulse Bomb to start things off from Snow here, and this is really difficult for NRG because they didn't have time to set up on the high ground. They had to come out of the door and basically face off against Method at ground level, so they're going to have to win this in a brawl, mano a mano, and you ideally want to set up on top. Method did not give NRG any time to do that. The deaths on the first point were too quick, and the momentum on the side of Method is huge right now.
I'm happy to see God's back on the McCree, but maybe because he was on with it previously, maybe that's a lack of confidence. As someone said, you know, he's been dropping in form lately. He needs to get his form on point right now, because that payload, I don't think it's even stopped at this point here for Method as they push on forwards. We get the base drop. Method are looking strong right now, very hardy, as Snow tries to push the choke point with the Tracer, able to rewind back out of that one to safety, but the action continues right now. Pulse Bomb is alive, tries to use it on the McCree. He's going to actually not be able to get it. Seagull gets him instead.
He's trying his best to basically defend this. He's putting the team on him, and he able to get the triple kill, I believe, and that pushes Method back. That was so crucial for NRG as well, because the momentum coming off the first point, when you have that ultimate advantage, when the other team aren't able to set up on top, this payload is so close to going to last, and finally, NRG have the opportunity to defend here on Streets phase.
Indeed, it's something, isn't it? That payload has finally stopped moving continuously. Bit of a high noon action there coming in from Goz, able to nail down Psycho Waffle as we get a torrent of frags coming in both ways. The DPS is going absolutely nuts at the moment as Enigma's still alive, and we see this contestation. It's hard to predict how it's going to actually pan out because there's no ultimates in play. It's just all these one-on-ones right now. Enigma still staying alive though. Rolf! Oh, he gets, I think, that kick there straight to the face of Enigma as Method are able to capitalize. 3 kills in a row is going to give them that advantage they need.
Milo with the Earth Shatter forcing out the Transcendence coming up from Method, and that is going to in turn allow Pooks to use his Sound Barrier, trying to stagger there and get the contest in. And Enigma died with the Pulse Bomb available. He's going to come back and use it though. He gets the double on Wolf and Exy. This fight is not over yet. Seagull coming in. Can he do the same once again? He hasn't got the ultimate available. He goes down this time, and the payload will finally reach the second checkpoint.
Oh no, the Reinhardt gets caught in a forward position. Milo goes down. That's going to be a lot of extra time there for Method to be able to push that payload as they continue to look for forward engagements. NRG not letting them have it. And it's not just looking for forward engagements, it's making NRG afraid to actually push out further because maybe there's 3 members there ready to ambush them, giving a lot of space here and denying them the positioning they need.
Kronich there using his Primal Rage rather early actually, batting a couple of people off the payload, but otherwise not really contributing to the kills. An interesting strategy from him. Maybe he just wanted to keep the payload moving by making sure everyone was off it. But either way, we're going to be moving into the next team fight now. I believe it was Exy with the bubble on top as well, and he's going to be dropping down in just a second. That's the first 2 kills going the way of Method. These pickoffs are doing a tremendous job, and Ultimate all the way in the back line, able to get a lot of damage done, and this is NRG in disarray.
Yeah, this is not looking good. This time is just blisteringly fast as we see Ultima Web just trying to get more charge here, pushing in, playing offensively, using that deflect, once again just delaying NRG on getting into a forward position to stop that payload from moving as Ultima Web turns his attention to the Tracer who's harassing his squishies. But once again, NRG versus Method, this fight has to work for them.
This is the correct target for him to be focusing down. Enigma goes down, very important as well because the Pulse Bomb was there. That can obviously turn the tide of the fight. Here comes a big Graviton Surge. Ultima Web now looking to try and take advantage of it. NRG need to keep surviving, and now they're collapsing all on Gods with a whole hog, and he managed to get the first pickoff as well. So important for them in this team fight as the payload nears its destination.
Absolutely, that hook from Gods was absolutely godlike to put it in one way, as we see him able to take down the Genji, able to keep the Matters alive there with that whole hog and push Method all the way back. Maybe he's actually given his team a way back in, all because of that play that I don't even know how he found the Genji between all those players.
NRG were clawing at the edges after a very quick loss on point A, but they have clawed at the edges and they pulled back, and they're slowly moving Method from what was a blistering fast time to what is going to be a competitive time. And now Method actually have to be thinking, we have 3 minutes, but we can't afford that many more team fights. Otherwise, NRG are actually turning this around into what is going to be a very, very good defense.
That's indeed looking like a strong defense, and the Graviton comes in to make it look even stronger. Everybody is going to be combustible there, apparently, thanks to Enigma's lovely Pulse Bomb. And it's just a matter of finishing off the stragglers. And once again, Method get resets.
And now the dream for NRG is real. After a rather difficult start to the map, they might be able to be dreaming of the hold here. They've done fantastically well preventing the payload coming out into the courtyard where the VIP parking space is. Milo just ready with intent to use his Earth Shatter here. Method with no ultimates available for the next fight as well. This is all going to be about being conservative, preventing your teammates from taking damage, staying behind the shield, and making sure that NRG don't give Method too much ult charge. And here comes Milo, getting Ultima Web, very crucial early pickup and preventing him from charging that Dragon Blade as well.
Absolutely, it's going to be Gods now with the whole hog able to push back the Reinhardt shield. Incredible damage, collapsing that shield immediately, and that means Method just cannot approach, especially in losing Method. And I do love Ultima Web's switch onto that Reaper there, as there's not much extra utility or use that you can get from the bonus of Genji, which is mobility. Doesn't really matter right at the end to push the payload those last few meters. It's all about that big damage, that big Death Blossom that can get the wipe that Method need.
And we were saying how they needed to be effective. I have to say that Method did a good job with their efficiency here. They are up to 4 ultimates versus NRG's 1. So they might be looking to make a very big push here. Enigma also with a double kill during that engagement, but he will not have his ultimate ready for this now. Here comes the Graviton Surge to start things off. A huge Earth Shatter coming out, and Gods gets absolutely pinned to the wall. Milo, though, is going to be the one that goes down as Kronich now getting taken out. Method coming in with the Transcendence. All of their ultimates have now been used, and they have to make this count.
And Gods is really coming alive with this Roadhog. Just great play after great play, as he will whip the hook, but it doesn't matter. There's going to be all the frags there for NRG. Method just cannot get the push to work. They were so good at getting the payload this far, but those extra few inches feel like an extra few miles at this point as we look for the next push. perhaps one of the last ones here for the Method side.
The NRG has indeed been transferred to NRG right now. They have 30 more seconds to hold before what was a poor start has turned into an excellent finish. They still have the job to do yet, though, as Method once again collapsing. There's 25 seconds remaining. This is going to be the last big team fight. Snow gets taken out. An excellent initial play from Gods. Enigma with the double Gods as well, coming in with another one on top of that. And I think that might be it for Method. Every player on the team is dead. There might be a Tracer that can get there in time, maybe, but I really don't think this should result in them turning it around.
Yeah, this looks like they've managed to nail it, but to be honest, you know, it's still quite a scary prospect. It will be a matter of distance, and well, overtime, actually able to get the overtime here. Tracer made it there in time. Maybe there is a chance here after all. Method trying to rush in through all these horrible choke points in desperation. The panic button is being smashed, but NRG drop all the ultimates. They drop the pain. The quad kill comes in, and that's going to be that for NRG. They will take it. Method are shut down.
Enigma coming in round the back, saving the ultimate for when it mattered most. And NRG there are going to complete the hold. That initial delay on the first point looked borderline catastrophic for them, but a fantastic recovery means that they will be able to complete the hold on Holly. That really was a tale of two halves, CDK.
Yeah, I mean, just Gods on that Roadhog really did it for me. When we saw so much working for the Method side, it was Ultimate Web just really abusing his awesome Genji play, and it was looking like they're about to make it happen, but then that key hook comes in, then he gets the whole hog off of that after eliminating a bit of that DPS, and that pushed him all the way back in. Well, they never looked back from there. Team fight after team fight. The Reaper switch did not work out for Method, but let's see if they can do a better job, because it is very possible to stop teams on the first and second point of this map.
I mean, it's difficult at best. You need, I think holding on the first point is possibly what they want to be doing. They don't really want to be then moving back and trying to hold them on the streets phase and last. We have seen just now, though, of course, holds on last are possible, but ideally you don't want to be sweating that much or have your team put under that much pressure. You can see how close it is there. That's, I mean, it's still quite badly parked, but, you know, I'm going to give them maybe 2.5, 3 points out of 10.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I don't have a car. I'd probably park like that if I had a car.
No way. If you park like that, I'd clamp you and tow you away.
Yeah, I can't do that. I actually hate bad parking. I think it should trigger anyone.
I know, right? That was pretty awful. But that does, of course, signify that we are just going to be looking at distance. We have all the time in the world for NRG here to set up and see if they can just push it as basically as slowly as they like, as long as they're able to reach the destination. And we once again have a Junkrat on defense. Ultimate Web is going to be carrying the charge.
But thankfully, from my perspective at least, I'm glad that we don't see the Junkrat and the Symmetra at the same time. I think that is pretty hard to play with. That's what NRG tried, and it just got collapsed straight away. This time though, it's just the Junkrat, and if there is a slow approach, then that Junkrat could do a lot of damage. He could, you know, blow down the... Actually, there's no shield because they're not running a Reinhardt. So the Winston there is going to be very good against this. Also, what's going to be very good against this is the Zarya with those shields.
Yeah, very mobile composition and a lot of flanking potential coming in from NRG right now as they collapse in. Winston coming in very early on. God's getting very low, but Seagull getting a double kill in the meantime, and Milo is going to be able to come and do some cleanup duty. Method are going to have to back off. They cannot continue to trickle in on the point here because otherwise they're just going to get stagger wiped, and oh dear, it looks like that's exactly what just happened.
Smoke 'em out.
So it's going to be another fast first point take. This time it's going to be, of course, in the hands of Mr. Seagull and et al. Now, will they be able to get a good street space here? It was very clean for Method on their first approach. I don't think that the payload stopped moving maybe once, really. And there was a couple fights, and then they kept it on moving. It was all about that last point. So let's see how NRG fared.
Well, this time around, Method did have a little bit of time to set up. They have their Genji Ultimate Web up top, getting ready to collapse as and when necessary. And it looks like now is going to be the time, very early on, coming through the double doors there, trying to push NRG back, trading a couple of kills, and Kronich actually paying off there, managing to get a double. So that was very nicely done from the tank, and NRG are going to basically lose 4.
Going pretty well so far, actually. That said, Enigma does get taken down by the Zenyatta there. Rook has actually been very good at taking down if the DPSs that try to attack him. This is one of the very crucial skills of a Zenyatta player, because you do actually have damage with Zenyatta, and with the additional shield as well. You do get a solid chance sometimes. And it will be NRG pushing the payload forwards though, and there's a lot of ultimates. We might see the big showdown coming in. Seagull looking for that moment to drop the blade.
Kronich getting taken out very early on there, as Seagull now looking for the ultimate. Oh, he picks up ultimate weapon as well, so there isn't going to be a reciprocal response. He's looking for McCree, can't actually find him inside the county jail, and never mind, he's going to make sure he stays there for a little while longer as NRG now push through the streets. They are making a statement of intent here, and now it's going to be down to Method to basically try and do the same as NRG. A very quick initial pick. We're getting through the street space okay. They're going to have to hold on last.
Yeah, it definitely would be. Are they going to go for this? Are they going to try one last attack? Looks like they will, but the problem is they get split up coming through both doors. Two big choke points. However, the Transcendence will get them through that. Marlo's waiting until the Transcendence is almost gone. He pops the Graviton, and they will all melt to that Graviton. Marlo timed it perfectly, and his teammates should be able to clean it up here as we see Enigma keeping himself alive to do just that. And NRG will claim that second point. They have a lot of time now to work with. They've done a great job.
5 minutes and 55 seconds to get the payload just short of its destination here. NRG do not have to get it all the way. I mean, it basically is to the end of the map at this point. Method trying to come out. At least they didn't use all of their ultimates in making that engagement. They have got an Earth Chatter and a Sound Barrier available, so they will have a little bit of ult, but NRG have all the time in the world to build this up, and now we have the first engagement here. It's crucial that Method start holding and start it right now. Seagull coming in with the first kill. He's trying to make sure that his DPS is a consistent factor in pushing this team forward here. Snow fighting back on the part of Method. Ultima Web gone, dead and dusted, and he needs to be able to pop back in and not lose those kills very easily.
Yeah, Snow's doing a really good job actually delaying everything, but you can see that eventually they will just keep that payload on moving. And very critically, Chronic was taken down immediately, unable to use his Earth Shatter in the last ult showdown, and he has it right now, but he has nothing really to combine it with, and Seagull's about to be on another Dragon Blade. That's very scary. He's going to have it right now as the initiation comes forwards with the Winston there. Goz trying to take the fight to Method, and I love that, but can the Dragon Blade be good? Seagull does pull it out there, gets a quick frag, and it looks like NRG are going to be falling here, but Method, they are falling as well. They have that respawn advantage, however.
Such an important initial pickoff
for
Method.
They make it all the way.
Wow, and there we go. So such an important early pickoff means that the trickle in isn't going to be possible. And that was an incredible game that we saw. NRG by the skin of their teeth there at times. They are able to just about squeeze out the last, and they will progress at the expense of Method.
We're going to Winston play the game here. Oh yeah. Just stomping on him.
I mean, that's what happens when everyone's in one place and you go, oh, my gun conveniently does splash damage. I'm going to go ahead and smack that up. That was beautiful stuff. And Ultima Web maybe giving us a little bit of a lesson in target practice there, but ultimately it wasn't going to be enough. That epic final hold, I have to say, from NRG did wonders for them, and that gave them all the time in the world they needed. If they weren't winning that team fight, they would have a little bit more time to do it in the end. Just under 6 minutes to complete the last point, and they manage to deliver. Well done to Seagull and crew.
Well, another big match here in Group D. That was
normally they introduce you because it's the two-shot, right? Yeah.
They don't need to. If I decide I don't need to, they don't need to. You know why?
All right.
Because I'm the host.
Oh.
It's that simple. People at home, I'm sure they know. Nobody on the desk seems to know. But one day we will make it there. And hopefully that day is today. Yeah. Anyway, that was a huge match. And there's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to start. You must be running out of ink with your notes. So, Joshy, please take it away.
That's a lot of notes, man.
I mean, it was a long series. It was one of our very few, actually, 3-game series throughout the entire playoff. So, very exciting start, of course, to kick things off on Nepal. Every single round offered something different for us. Some of the things I've got circled here, great Pulse and Graviton Surge combos. We had great combos from Milo and Enigma there. On the market, NRG made a basket. You guys saw that?
We heard it, but didn't see it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we heard the celebration.
It was the Snow show on Tracer for a brief time there on Nepal. Snow did an amazing job as Tracer, unchecked wildly through parts of that map. We had Gods doing well on Winston in point 3, point 4, back on the control tower as ultimate weapon Snow, just getting massive amounts of kills. In the second game on Nepal, I have Snow is amazing written here, plus Winston, so Chronic doing a great job tanking. They were pairing off, that's what it was. Snow and Chronic with Winston and Tracer were pairing together, buddy system, and just taking out all of the DPS characters of NRG. We have Seagull 3Ks over and over. He actually got 2 play of the matches in the first 2 maps, so Seagull definitely showing off on Genji. Boom. Again, Pulse Bomb Graviton Surges. I've got NRG with the NIP build. The 3 supports and 3 tanks on Nepal were actually very surprising up against a Hanzo, so we can talk about that a bit more.
Joshua, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, actually, when we were taking a look at Lijang, I thought one of the interesting things that set up the series, Joshi, was that on one point, Enigma would do fantastically well, and then on the next point, it seemed like he faded a bit, and Snow kind of took over, and they took turns all the way to point 5. Did you see anything that maybe one of the other team members were doing that necessarily supported or precipitated that? Because it did look like a massive yo-yo between the 2 Tracers.
Yeah, the Tracer battles always tend to go that way, essentially. It's just a matter of who has the room to run around freely and actually take out their intended targets. If there's a Tracer finally showing up on you, you have to change course immediately. So it's really just a matter of who is doing a good job on the rest of their team killing the enemy Tracer. They're going to tail each other otherwise, and you get a lot of back and forth like you're talking about.
Credit to Enigma though. Obviously, one Tracer might take all the limelight here, but I noticed that his tracking of players as they were moving through the air and so on was really, really good. I would love to see what percentage his accuracy was, because his crosshair was almost always on his opponent, which was really great to see. But also, speaking of battles, you had the Seagull and Zenyatta battle as well. When Zenyatta started out winning, right?
Rolf
That's
was just kicking away on Zenyatta. I've got that here as well.
He was so mad. You could almost feel the anger in Seagull. Wolf getting the first 2 kills off him when they got onto Nepal, and the 3rd time he came around, he hung back from the rest of the team, looked at Zenyatta coming around the corner and said, "Not this time."
Yeah, I was going to point that out actually as a theme, as Rolf and Dummy both actually had several low-health Genji kills as Zenyatta. Zenyatta, of course, in the lore, being Genji's trainer, of course, that makes sense here as it plays out between NRG and Method. But I think incredible play of the game, lots of candidates there. What do you think, James?
Well, before we get to that, because I'm the host.
Okay. Oh, he's the host.
Triple tanks, triple tanks, nano boosts.
Yes.
How do you feel about this emotionally? How do you feel about this inside?
Oh, it makes me feel very
deep inside.
Very fuzzy and warm inside, James, because I mean, we saw it again in the European Overwatch Open just yesterday. I think it was yesterday with NIP. We've had a lot of days. Was it yesterday or was it the day before? I don't know.
NIP was yesterday.
Okay, yeah. So if you find NIP's matches, if you want to see that, if you're a fan of that style, you can go to NIP's matches because they run that basically on every map. And it's great to see that we saw that it used very situationally, and it makes a lot of sense as well on that particular capture point because you've got these long narrow channels, and one of the hard things is often staying on the point. And one of the best things about Nana is that the nano boost allows you to break areas with a tank and then have that tank be the problem that everybody needs to either escape or kill. So and there's not much space to work with already. So a Reinhardt with a nano boost, or as we saw, the whole combination, it just creates so much space and damage that is very, very potent. I would be surprised if more teams do not pick up this style for at least specific situations like that, because it is clearly quite strong.
Well, we saw actually, was it yesterday I was talking about, oh, let's get some characters other than Reinhardt nano boosted. Give me a Reaper, and we got a Reaper. And today I think in between maps we were talking about whether Gods was going to get that treatment as well, and we got the whole hog as well. So it's nice to see teams experimenting a bit more with Ana, trying to figure out basically where the nano boost actually gives the maximum amount of damage, and the staying power on that second point I thought was just great. Joshy, was there anything you would have changed?
It's interesting, like when the compositions first rolled out, Reinhardt on control maps always kind of give me a bad feeling. Reinhardt has a tough time holding his shield up to actually protect anything with the chaos and frenetic things that are happening all over the place on these control maps. It can be very difficult to actually make use of the 2000 HP shield, but on that point it's very interesting because Ana comes into play. She can actually just sit in the corner that whole time, so it totally makes sense to have a Reinhardt there for her, and it's very obvious that God's not playing a Reaper or a McCree as he typically does, playing that Roadhog was going to be the recipient of that, and it worked out great. Obviously, Roadhog on Sanctum has the instant kill potential with any hooks that he happens to hit across the channel, but it was honestly the nano boost typically that ended up making the huge difference. So I think on that map, the boot camp that NRG are at, they came up with this composition, or at least saw how it played out, maybe from NIP. They may have borrowed a page there, but definitely the logic is definitely there, and it played out well for them.
So much action in that match. I have no idea what the Republic of Gamers' incredible play of the game might be, but we are about to find out. I would like to see some Nana Boost shenanigans, but there's so much I can't even remember all the action.
Enigma at the end with Reaper, maybe, but I would like to see a Gods compilation. I'd also love to see Snow actually in on the action.
I was going to say Nepal at the very end had a Graviton plus triple Pulse Bomb, so Milo plus Enigma actually getting the accolades here, combining to just seal the deal there when it was 99% to 99. This definitely was the reason they were able to win this first point on Nepal, so great choice there for incredible play of the game, I think.
Well, really good stuff all across that match from both teams. Let us know what you think the incredible play of the game should have been on the Twitters. We've got hashtag OWOpen. Twitter account is OverwatchOpen as well. So that's going to be the wrap-up of that match. We're going to have Rise
Nation and NRG
say something
in the winners match.
Okay, we're going to have Rise Nation versus NRG, as the other host just said, in the winners match. That's going to be the next match coming up. After the break, we'll see you back here shortly.